How good was he?
Apollo, yeah, he was great. He's a perfect fighter.
So how'd you beat him?
Time, takes everybody out. It's undefeated.
He's the bruiser with something left in the basement, the eternal underdog of Philly. He's Rocky Balboa, the man who willed himself into an icon. And yet, there's a whole movie franchise set in the world he built that he's not in.
You don't remember me, huh?
Which begs the question, how did Michael B. Jordan make a near-perfect Rocky movie without Sylvester Stallone?
I don't know, there's still some stuff in the basement.
What basement?
In here.
Legacy sequels are a dime a dozen now. In the corporately controlled hellscape we currently live in, it seems like the only thing people are interested in experiencing at the Cineplexes is nostalgia. This isn't a new point. We've been living in this world for some time now. However, the problem of how these spin-offs and sequels handle the returning cast members ranges in quality from outstanding to downright insulting. For every Wolverine and Deadpool, there are copious examples of getting it wrong. Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, Halloween Ends, or Jurassic World Dominion. And with the Rocky franchise, that conundrum is definitely at play, along with a morass of infighting, drama, and ego. But let's start at the beginning.
Rocky, you're not happy with your life. It's nice. Me, I got a business going. I don't have to take no shots.
We all know the story. Sylvester Stallone wrote a screenplay inspired by the life of Rocky Marciano as a last-ditch effort to forge the career he wanted for himself. He'd been steadily working on the periphery of Hollywood for a decade without ever having his big break. So he decided to make a story about what it was like to be an underdog, an outsider, a pure and simple long shot. And in the most creatively impressive move of all, when Hollywood came knocking, Stallone refused to sell unless he could play the titular character of Rocky. 6 movies, multiple Oscars, and over $600 million later, Stallone is inarguably a household name, which leads us directly to Ryan Coogler and his proposed relaunch of the beloved franchise. After his breakout hit Fruitville Station, Coogler did what's referred to as the water bottle tour through the Los Angeles studio system. This is basically just a tour of meetings at various studios where you get your complimentary bottle of water before being told that they're passing on your idea. However, when meeting with MGM, he pitched an idea based on his real-life experience. He wanted to create a legacy sequel inspired by his father's battle with cancer. Everyone at the studio instantly saw the financial potential, and MGM officially announced that Coogler would take the reins of the Rocky franchise on July 24th, 2013. The film centers on Adonis Donnie Creed as he attempts to follow in the footsteps of his estranged father. The film would also see Rocky evolving into the role that Burgess Meredith's Mickey Goldmill occupied in the original film. And as previously mentioned, Rocky would also be receiving the troubling diagnosis of cancer just before the film's climax.
And I told him what happened with my dad's health at the time. At that time when I met him, we didn't know if my dad was gonna make it or not. Thankfully he's good, he's here with us now.
The film was received very positively, pulling in $173 million at the worldwide box office. It even managed to propel Stallone into a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe win. A sequel with Michael B. Jordan's Adonis going up against the son of Ivan Drago was released on November of 2018, and this is where the fracturing of the relationship between Stallone and the Creed crew really manifested. The film featured Stallone's Rocky in a co-starring role. Despite being central to the first film, this time he feels distinctly supporting. According to insider reports, Stallone wasn't too pleased with the cancer storyline as well. When talking to The Hollywood Reporter, he said, "I know what it could have been. It was taken in a direction that was quite different than I would have taken it. It's a different philosophy. Erwin Winkler's and Michael B. Jordan's. I wish them well, but I'm just much more of a sentimentalist. I like my heroes getting beat up, but I don't just want them going into that dark place. I just feel people have seen enough darkness." And when it inevitably came time to produce Creed 3, Stallone opted out of returning. The real reason that Sly didn't want to return, however, might have something to do with money more so than creative direction. What Sly alluded to in a very polite Hollywood way is that he's had an ongoing feud with the producer of the Rocky series, Erwin Winkler, for years. Winkler, who controls the rights to the Rocky franchise, paid him an initial fee of $35,000 for the script, its sequel rights, and Stallone's acting services. Essentially, ever since, they've been butting heads over the long-running series, mostly over money.
Everyone made out well. They did.
Yeah.
But it was all supposed to be neutral. No one had anything more than the other. It was all.
After the announcement of Drago, yet another Rocky spin-off project that may or may not actually get made, Stallone accused the original Rocky producer of picking clean the bones of another wonderful character I created without telling me. Winkler, who purportedly put his house up as collateral to get the original film produced, has been in control of the rights to the franchise since its inception. He has shepherded 6 films with Stallone and now 3 with Michael B. Jordan. However, things have gotten a bit more intense since 2022's Drago announcement and 2023's Creed 4 unveiling. Care to hazard a guess what Stallone thought of these ideas? He didn't like it, calling the Winkler family blood-sucking vampires. Stallone has been beating this vitriolic drum for quite some time now, though. In a Variety interview he gave in 2019, he spoke at length about how bad the initial contract for Rocky was and how he felt like he had no choice but to take it. "I was very angry. I was furious. Rocky is on TV around the world more than any other Oscar-winning film other than The Godfather. They say the definition of Hollywood is someone who stabs you in the chest. They don't even hide it." Stallone's grievance with Winkler stems back to the fact that he's not an owner of the franchise. He wants some rights to be given back to him so he's in a position of saying what can and can't happen to his characters and world. This reached a crescendo in the early 2000s when Stallone launched a Rocky musical as a passion project, and Winkler initially didn't want to back the play. Referring to acrimony behind the scenes politely as creative differences is nothing new in Tinseltown. It's a catch-all for we hate each other, but we're not going to say so publicly.
You can't make peace when someone has been so nefarious, in my opinion, so horrible.
There's probably a kernel of truth regarding Stallone not being too creatively enthusiastic about Creed 3, but let's be honest, he really just doesn't like the way the Creed franchise is handling the age-old legacy sequel problem of what do you do with the original cast. He wishes he was an owner of the franchise so he could be the one making those calls. We've seen the original actors bring these iconic roles to life, come out of the woodwork, and bemoan the fact that they're being left behind when a new iteration of their character is announced. It's practically a tradition at this point. It dates all the way back to 1989 Batman. When that version was announced, Adam West was publicly campaigning for the job of reprising the role of Bruce Wayne. And has Hollywood always gotten it right? Absolutely not. In fact, there's more of a failure rate than a success rate at this point. The Disney Star Wars trilogy couldn't even accomplish the basic task of getting Han, Luke, and Leia together on screen for one scene. The Jurassic World movies have so little for Sam Neill and company to do, they might as well not even be in the movie. But the Creed franchise feels like something that's perfect for a big meaty role for Rocky, specifically Creed 3. You're making a movie about Adonis Creed grappling with the mistakes he made as a child and reckoning with his former best friend who knows everything about him, and he really never picks up the phone to call his surrogate father for advice. That just feels so glaringly wrong for both characters. Rocky would have been there for Donnie in a heartbeat. Unfortunately, Stallone felt he had other priorities, which makes this story all the more complicated. You want to root for Stallone, the classic underdog. You want to cheer him on from the sidelines. How much money does he need to earn for MGM and Irwin Winkler before he's cut back in and given a say in what happens to the universe he created? But on the other hand, Stallone is worth somewhere north of $400 million. He's doing fine. His family is doing fine. And he directed 4 out of the 6 Rocky films. He did get to be the master of his own destiny, more so than almost anyone in his position ever has, which is why his qualms about this situation are both understandable and also a little ridiculous at the same time. Rocky undoubtedly wouldn't exist without Stallone's brilliant script and endearing performance in the first movie, but it also wouldn't have existed if Irwin Winkler and Robert Chardoff hadn't put their homes up as collateral. The success of Rocky gave Stallone international fame, fortune, and recognition far beyond anyone's wildest dreams. That being said, is it possible that Stallone will eventually return to the series for one last bout? Sure. Anything is possible.
Now, if Michael B. Jordan, we come up with a story, I'll do Creed 4 with him as long as the other fellow's not involved.
And well, that's all we have for this week's episode. What do you think? Will Stallone set aside his grudge and come back to the Creed franchise? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Nerdstalgic videos just like this.